There's something incredibly magnetic about the people who don't beg for attention, yet they get it. They walk into a room and they don't have to say much, but somehow everyone notices. And it's not about looks. It's not about being loud or flashy. It's about presence. It's about inner security. It's about energy that speaks even when you don't. Silent attractiveness isn't something you wear. It's something you embody. It starts with how you carry yourself, not to impress, but because you respect yourself. It shows up in how you listen fully, without looking for your turn to speak. It lives in the way you treat others, not to be seen as kind, but because kindness is who you become. Socially attractive people don't crave to be liked by everyone. They've already made peace with who they are. They don't overshare. They don't dominate the space. They don't try to prove their worth. They just are. You don't walk into a room trying to be the loudest, funniest, or most noticed person. You don't need the spotlight because you carry your own light within. There's no desperate urge to prove yourself, no performance to maintain. Instead, you walk in with a calm, grounded energy that speaks louder than any words could. People often think attraction comes from doing more, talking more, being seen more, posting more. But the truth is, the most magnetic people are the ones who've made peace with who they are. You don't chase validation because you've already validated yourself. That peace within you shows up in your posture, your tone, your presence. You smile when it's real, not because it's expected. You speak when it matters, not to fill space. And you never beg to be liked because your self-worth is not up for negotiation. A world that rewards noise, your stillness becomes revolutionary. People feel it, they lean into it. You don't force your presence, you embody it. That's not just attractive, that's unforgettable. In a world full of people waiting for their turn to speak, true listening feels like a rare gift. You're not just hearing words, you're receiving them with your posture, with your eyes, with your stillness. When someone talks to you, you don't glance at your phone, you don't rush them to get to the point, you don't start formulating your response halfway through their sentence. You give them something much more valuable than advice or opinions. You give them your presence. Your eyes say, I'm here with you. Your silence says, take your time. Your energy says, you matter. People are drawn to that because deep down we're all aching to be heard. Not fixed, not judged, just truly understood. When you listen with your eyes, it tells people you're not just mentally present, but emotionally available. You're not trying to solve them, you're trying to see them. And that is powerful. It's not always about the perfect thing to say. It's about creating a space where someone feels safe enough to speak at all. And when people feel that safety in your presence, they remember you long after the conversation ends. That kind of connection is rare, and rare is always attractive. In a culture obsessed with broadcasting every detail, every thought, every moment, you choose something different. You choose quiet dignity over constant disclosure. You don't share to be validated. You don't reveal to gain sympathy. You understand that not everything sacred needs to be seen. There's a strength in knowing that your story belongs to you first, not to the algorithm, not to the crowd, not to the timeline. You've learned that keeping certain parts of yourself private doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you're healing. It means you found enough security within that you don't need to put your pain or joy on display to make it real. People are naturally drawn to those who hold back a little, those who leave space for curiosity. It's not about playing games. It's about knowing your worth doesn't depend on how much you share. You understand that mystery isn't manipulation, it's maturity. It's the wisdom to recognize when to speak and when to simply be. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of depth, intention, and discernment. And the people who truly value connection will lean in, not because you told them everything, but because you didn't need to. That's not just socially attractive, it's quietly powerful. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, and you've learned to walk that line with grace. You don't need to puff your chest to prove your value. You don't speak over others to assert your importance. You don't dominate, you anchor. That's self-respect. It's quiet, it's steady, and it doesn't seek applause. Ego is loud. It needs to be right. It needs to win. But self-respect, it knows that walking away from disrespect isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You don't explain your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. You don't argue to protect your pride. You disengage to protect your peace. You honor yourself in how you let people treat you. You set boundaries not out of bitterness, but out of love for yourself first. And when those boundaries are crossed, you don't lash out. You simply remove access. You protect your energy like it matters because it does. You don't lower your standards to keep people. You don't beg to be chosen. You've learned that anyone who can't meet you with mutual respect doesn't deserve a seat at your table. Self-respect is rooted in wholeness, not performance. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it. And that calm certainty, that's rare. That's powerful. That's the kind of attractive that doesn't fade. You don't need to entertain, impress, or constantly do to earn your place. You've unlearned the pressure to perform. You've stopped seeking approval through achievements, likes, or applause. Instead, you've begun to trust in the quiet power of stillness. While the world screams louder and moves faster, you've chosen to slow down, to breathe, to observe, to be. And that calm presence you carry, it speaks volumes without you having to say a word. You're not afraid of silence anymore. You don't rush to fill every pause. You don't mask discomfort with humor or busyness. You're at peace with being still. And that peace makes people lean in, because in a culture obsessed with noise, someone who's grounded feels like a rare kind of safety. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means you're not reacting to everything. You don't panic when things get uncertain. You don't scramble for attention or validation. You sit with your thoughts. You trust your process. And from that stillness, you make intentional moves, not desperate ones. People feel that depth. They notice the difference between someone who's performing to be liked and someone who's just real. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. Your presence is enough. And that quiet confidence, it echoes long after you leave. You don't need to speak a single word for people to feel your presence, because before your voice enters the room, your energy already has. You carry yourself with a quiet strength, not forced, not exaggerated, but rooted, grounded, real. Your shoulders are relaxed, not slumped in insecurity or raised in tension. Your chin is held steady, not tilted high in pride, but level in clarity. Your walk is purposeful, not rushed, not lazy, but calm and assured, as if you know you belong without needing to dominate. So that's the difference between arrogance and confidence. Arrogance is loud, it demands attention, it enters with a need to prove. But real confidence, it walks in gently and still shifts the room. You make eye contact, not to intimidate, but to connect. You smile, not because you're trying to be liked, but because you feel open. You don't shrink to make others comfortable, and you don't puff up to feel superior. You simply are. People pick up on that. They may not always be able to name it, but they feel it. They sense the internal stability, the calm assurance, the self-trust you carry in the way you sit, the way you move, the way you hold space. And the truth is, confidence doesn't have to shout to be seen. Sometimes it just has to stand there quietly unwavering. And that's more than attractive, it's magnetic. In a world addicted to noise, your comfort with silence sets you apart. Most people feel the urge to fill every pause with small talk, with nervous laughter, with meaningless words just to avoid discomfort, but not you. You've made peace with the quiet. You've learned that silence isn't something to fear, it's something to respect. You understand that presence doesn't always need a performance, that two people sitting in stillness can share more connection than hours of talking ever could. You don't talk just to be heard. You speak when it adds value, when it's genuine, when your words carry intention. And when you're quiet, it's not because you have nothing to say, it's because you don't need to say everything. You're not threatened by the pause. You don't rush to fill the space. You trust the moment. You allow thoughts to breathe. And people can feel that trust. There's a calmness in you that allows others to relax. There's no pressure to entertain, no pressure to perform, just a deep, grounded presence that makes silence feel safe, not awkward. That's powerful, because when someone is comfortable with silence, it tells the world they're at peace within. They don't need external noise to drown out their inner dialogue. That kind of quiet strength is rare. And in a world that's constantly talking, you become unforgettable by simply being still. It's about knowing who you are without needing to announce it. It's about showing up with peace in your heart, clarity in your soul, and strength in your silence. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to chase to be chosen. Because when you carry calm confidence, people feel it. And when you speak with intention, people listen. And when you live with quiet integrity, people remember you. You become the kind of presence that lingers, not because you demanded space, but because you held it with grace. In a world that constantly asks you to do more, you become magnetic by simply being grounded. You don't hustle for worth, you embody it. And that, more than anything, is what makes you silently, unmistakably attractive. You don't walk through life performing for approval. You've outgrown the need to wear masks just to fit in. You've stopped trying to shape shift into who others need you to be because you've finally become comfortable being fully, unapologetically you. You don't lead with status, charm, or curated perfection. You lead with presence. That quiet, unwavering sense of self that doesn't demand attention, but naturally commands it. You're not chasing the next compliment, spotlight, or stage. You know your value isn't in how loud you are, how often you speak, or how many people follow. It's in the consistency of your integrity, the depth of your soul, and the truth in your energy. When you walk into a room, you're not trying to outshine anyone. You're not trying to impress. You're simply there, fully, mindfully, intentionally. And people feel that. You offer a calmness that others crave, a realness that feels rare. And in your authenticity, you give others quiet permission to stop performing too. You lead without having to push. You influence without having to convince. Because presence, real presence, doesn't ask for attention, it earns respect. And that's the kind of attractiveness that doesn't fade with time, it deepens. Before you utter a single word, people already feel you. Your energy tells the room whether you're grounded or anxious, authentic or performing. And you've done the inner work to make sure that the energy you carry is calm, clear, and rooted. Not chaotic, not attention-seeking. You don't have to overcompensate or sell yourself. You don't rely on witty one-liners or dramatic entrances to be noticed. Your presence speaks for you, and it says, I'm secure, I know who I am, I don't need to prove anything. That energy is not loud, it's not flashy, but it's powerful. People may not remember everything you said, but they remember how they felt around you. And when your energy is grounded, warm, and still, it makes people